Hello. It's been quite some time since the last video. I think around 8 months. And I think this time, unlike last Ramble 3, I think quite a few things have really happened. I think you guys will find this pretty exciting. So I think at the end of the last video, don't mind the background, by the way. I'm gonna train cooking soon. Going for 20 mil. I think I have it banked pretty much. These grapes should take care of it. So anyway, let's go through everything, right? So I think at the end of the last video, as I was saying, I said I was gonna go to Bandos. I really don't remember. This was February 2023, and now it's end of October. I think I said I was gonna go to Bandos and get BGS, then go to ToA, get the equivalent of Dex and Arcane from that raid, which I guess would be Fang and Lightbearer. They're very common, 7 out of 24 each every time you roll a purple. And then we'll take it from there, right? I think that's what I said. So you're probably wondering, how the hell did it take you 8 months to do all of that? That's it should take 4 weeks, really. But it's pretty much a long story. So, so what happened is basically, well, to begin with, I think a reasonable ToA setup probably involves something like a Hasta, Zamorakian Hasta, and the Beauferdin, which we already got in the previous Ramble. Right, because the last Ramble was this 3-step process of Bofa, Dex, Inferno, which I just completed in February, and then I was like, okay, what's next? Right, so we had the Bofa, but I didn't have a Hasta. If you recall, I got my first Hasta, I guess at this point, almost 4 years ago. It was three and a half years ago at the beginning of 2020, in one of those early Rambles, and that was used for my Lance, obviously, right? I had just made it into the Lance, so I didn't have another one, and I went 3x dry on it, the first one, so I was like, okay, I have to go back to Zammy and everything. So I did. I went back to Zammy, and I went pretty dry. This picture doesn't really do justice to how it happened, but let's see how it went, right? So if we go here to Krilled Sutzeroth, okay, I mean, this looks fine, but what happened is basically, actually at 700 KC, I still just had that one spear from 2020, and I had 8 staves, so it's pretty unlucky, but then I got 2 pretty much back-to-back in the same trip, so that was pretty nice. I was using that 6-0 Bofa method, Door Altar by GE Challenge M, and it was quite good. I really like that method. You can get really long trips if you're pretty good. I think at the beginning I was taking 4 divines, so that's an hour and 20 minutes, this is 80 minutes. And then as I got better, I started taking 6, and then eventually I wanted to really push myself, do the entire task in one trip, and I started taking 9. So 9 divines is 90 Krill Sutzeroth kills without room resetting, so that's pretty good. That's pretty much the max task size with 180. It does go up to 200, and I really don't like bringing that 10th divine. So if the task is between 180 and 200, I usually just split it up into 2 pieces. But anyway, so back on topic. So that Zammy grind actually just took forever. I had to, as you can see by the picture, I ended up going 3x dry a second time. Let me just go back here. 3x dry a second time to get that second spear. But then I finally got it, and then I made it into Hasta, and then I did ToA, and then I obviously reverted it later because I was I wanted to save a bank slot. Not that it really... Okay, well, this is a lie. I'm not actually at 1040. I think I'm just doing this for this cooking method, but I needed some bank space, so, I was like, okay, just convert it. It's free. You're not going to use a Hasta ever again. And why? Why would I not use a Hasta again? Well, it's because I did get the Fang. Right. So after getting the Hasta, I had to go get the BGS, because, if you recall, I had Bandos top and bottom, but I didn't have the BGS, because I had meleeed all my Bandos way back in 2020, and then I needed to get a BGS still, so I learned the Bofa method for that too. Super easy, pretty much exactly the same as Zammy, except you just don't wait the tick at the beginning. Really fun. I really like God Wars. I can do a whole different ramble on how much I love God Wars. I think it's some of the best content in OSRS, but I put a pause on the grind. Anyway, regardless. So let's maybe go to the I'm sorry, it's really disorganized. Let's start from the top, right? So as I said, I wanted to grind out Sammy, grind out the BGS and everything. Got it all, went to ToA, got the Fang and Lightbearer. So sort of like what took so long, really, right? Honestly, the Zammy was the long part. It took me like 5.5 million Slayer XP. So at the last video, I think I was like at what, like 16.5 million Slayer for maxing. I did a bunch of post 99 XP to get 99 prayer. But now I'm at like 20 mil. Yeah, nearly 21 mil, right? So I went maybe not 5.5 mil. Is that 4.5 mil? Yeah, so 4.5 mil Slayer XP just to get that dang Hosta. So, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you could have just used Lance. And I was like, well, yes, but also, I mean, one of my goals is like God Sword set from scratch, like the original OSR's goal, you could say. So, you know, these are just rolls towards that. It's also imbued heart rolls from all the barrage tasks I did, so I didn't really mind doing it. Right, so that brings us to, you know, that took like, I don't know, like 4 months to do all of that Slayer XP. I don't play that much. I play a couple hours a day sometimes. Sometimes I don't even log in. You know, I have stuff for work, like, you know, dating, all that stuff. So don't really have time to grind out as much as I used to when I was younger, especially during the pandemic. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So, right. So after that, went to ToA. And now, I guess maybe we can go through the feature presentation of this ramble, which is, how did ToA go? Why did it take you so long? And the simple reason is, well, somehow I got Lightbearer towards the end of the grind. Sorry, it should be on all. So let's go to the gear tab, which looks, in my opinion, quite a bit better than it did before. And we can already see that full Missouri. Wow. I am pretty lucky at ToA. If you just want to see, well, maybe I won't spoil it just yet, but hold on. So that's full Missouri and the ward. Here's the Lightbearer. So that's 5 out of 7, and the Fang, which is 6 out of 7. So actually, all that I'm missing is the Shadow. So you're probably like, oh dang, you're pretty unlucky. You got Lightbearer and Fang towards the end. You know, it sucks. Probably had to do a couple 100 KC, 400 KC or something, and well, at least you got all the other items. And I'd love for that to tell you that, but that is not how it went down. I got very lucky at ToA. You probably already surmised by this pet following me, but yeah, take a look at this. I think it's 100 and maybe 120-ish KC, one of every unique, no duplicates, and the pet, which is amazing. I got the pet with the Lightbearer actually just yesterday, and I told all my friends, I'll make the ramble when I get the Dex and Arcane, okay? And then I was like postponing it for a while. Yeah, I have to say, probably a great place to get spooned, honestly. It's an okay raid. I think the hate for it is overblown, but it's not, I don't know, I like solo chambers quite a bit more. It's really a lot of fun. Right, so yeah, so this is like amazing spoonage, like just easy. Big fan. So I'll talk more about my plans for when I'm going to go for the Shadow towards the end, but yeah, I mean, this is amazing. I'm really happy about this. And it makes the bank look awesome, too. Like, full Missouri. No mismatch BS, like this made setup looks horrible. These spare Bandos pieces are from when I went for the BGS. You're probably seeing all these new things that I didn't have in the last video either, so let me talk about that quickly. So whenever I was bored, I was like, you know what? God Sword set from scratch is one of your goals. Para, right? And I mentioned that earlier. So I was like, okay, sure. Let's just make contributions towards that. So, you know, since I had Rigor at the end of the last video and Bofa and finished the Infernal Cape, I was like, at the beginning, I was like, you know what, why not? Just went to Sarah, just sat there for 2 weeks, knocked this out really quickly, was super fast grind. Got this extra SGS, which is pretty nice. ACB is like 150, or sorry, not 150, just 50 mil these days, right? I think. I got rid of the examine option because I was like, who needs that? How much is it? 53. Amazing. So yeah, I finished up the Sarah log. Didn't take that long. Just sit there for 2 weeks, do like 55 kill trips or 60 kill trips or something. Super fast grind. This pretty much average completion rate too. Can't complain. Pretty good across the board. For the Missouri, you're probably wondering like, oh, you need to fortify it. You need to do Kriara. I did some Kriara. I think I did like with 300 KC. Got the top, so my Missouri top is fortified. I'll go back and I'll finish this. I'll probably go back with Shadow. Chins are really nice. I did use a ton of black and red chins there. Really enjoy it. Compared to Bofa only, I really hate that method. I know a lot of people like it, or they can tolerate it at least, but I'd rather just catch the dang chins. I'm sure it's worse, like real time or whatever, but yeah, chins are fun and cool method, and yeah. Anyway, so going back to the ToA aspect, right? So I spooned all of this crap, and I was like, wow, just got the light bearer yesterday. For the Fang, I actually got a little unlucky on the Fang, I would say. It took a while to get it. So I did ToA in like 2 steps, you could say. So I started ToA with just Hosta and, Bofa, and was like trying to avoid Insanity for a long time, and that was like just not smart, It was like a really bad way of going about things, in my opinion. It's just sort of, you're just limiting yourself, honestly. So basically at some point I sort of restarted, and I was like trying to stop looking for these shortcuts, and I was like, okay, start over at 150, this time do it right. So I started over at 150 with Insanity right from the get-go. Then I added walk the path. Then after that I added like a bunch of other invocations, like maybe I should be a ToA bank to show you, but like Boulder Dash, Upset Stomach, Stay Vigilant, all the stuff that people really hate. But yeah, those things are like, if you get all the hard stuff out of the way at the beginning, then like going to 400 later on is no big deal. So I sent like money 320s and 330s and eventually 350s with Hosta until I got the Fang. I was pretty happy with that. I would say even without Karis, maybe I should talk about that. I don't have any gem, by the way. I'm sure you noticed, but I don't have any gem. So I do all my raids with like 5 brews. You can see right here. Well, these are pre-potted, but like I replaced these 2 with another 2 brews or 3 brews. Yeah, just no choice, right? Gotta use 5 brews if you... That's just how it is. And you can see on my Twitter that like I usually have brews left, but the whole point of brews is like you buy yourself insurance for if you mess up, which, come on, I always mess up. I think that's the annoying part about ToA, honestly. It's like not even that it's like all that hard. I mean, there are some aspects of it that are hard, I think, but really the annoying thing is these like one bang mechanics where like, oh, you mess up boulders, you get, smashed back, and possibly, if you mess up mind the gap timing, I mean, that's really easy in my opinion. But like the boulders is one thing. Zabak jugs, if you mess up, you die. Especially if you don't have Karis, you can't do anything. That sucks, but I mean, the answer from the high-level players is always just play better forehead, which is true. It's like pretty scripted. Just know what to do, and it's fine. And the other thing is like messing up. What's it called? Baba puzzle. Like, I mean, you have to be trolling to do this, but like you forget a pillar or something, or like I don't know, you walk into a volatile. Like, especially with radius markers, it's pretty easy to not do that these days. But yeah, I mean, it's just those one bang mechanics basically. Like, other than that, I don't think ToA is that hard. In fact, I think the final boss of ToA, the Bordens, is way, way easier than Solo Ohm. Solo Ohm took me ages to learn, and Insanity, honestly, yes, it's hard. I won't deny that it's hard. I spent like 4 days learning it, but like I spent 4 days learning it, not 40 days, right? So it's not that bad. Anyway, so got that ToA taken care of, and that's really what I've just been doing for the last 2 months, right? So it took me 4 months to take care of the Zami, and then about a month to take care of Sarah plus Bandos. Maybe I'll show that too. General Gerardor, where are you? Another spooned grind, pretty easy. Was just going for this, and then got some spare pieces along the way. Got 1 for the stash, 1 for Guardian Boots. I do need another one of these for the stash, but who cares? I don't have the hard clue chest plate and the cloak anyway, medium clue cloak, so I can't even do that step. These will be nice for coffer later. I think, how much is BCP and Tacits these days? I think it should be 50 mil combined, right? 52, yeah, I figured. So yeah, I mean, that's like another bunch of money for the coffer if I ever need it. No big deal. I think I also was missing something else in the previous video. Where is it? Oh, it should be here. Yes, Infernal Axe. I think I had done Cerberus again in like 2020, right? I hadn't touched it. And I think I've shown this log a couple of times when I got spooned a bunch on that first grind. I had like 777 KC. So I went back for this and then got another Primordial Crystal along the way. So that one of them is in the coffer, and the other one I just made a second pair of Primordial Boots. Why not just have it, I guess. Bank value. And also, these are just like free coffer money if I ever need it, which ToA is very expensive, so, well, death-wise. Anyway, but yeah, so I would say overall, mainly last year, you could say, has just been dedicated towards God Wars, Slayer, both the same thing, really, and then a ToA. Pretty fun. Yeah, there's the Karases with the lack of gems. Sad. As for the plans for what's next, I think, well, as you saw, the only item I'm really missing is the Shadow, right? So if I get this, then we can go back to Chambers of Xeric and then aim for the Twisted Bow. And I think Chambers of Xeric with the Shadow will be really excellent because I'll have Misori too. And you're probably going to be like, oh, Para, what are you talking about? You should be using your Bofa. And I was like, yeah, you could. Or you could be using Pipe and DHCB. With Misori, as far as I know, that is a legit setup, as long as you have Shadow. And the reason for that is you can just Shadow Vespula, you can Shadow the other thing, what's it called? Mystics. Actually, I mean, they're best in slot there. Like, Shadow is just OP. And then you can also Shadow these things, Shamans. And as far as I remember, Shadow is second best in slot as Shamans behind Blowpipe. So if you're bringing the Blowpipe, you can use that, or you can Shadow it if you're lazy, which I probably will. It's just really hard to... I think, like, the real way is, like, you use the Shadow to sort of stack up the Shamans nicely, and, like, from long range, and then you Blowpipe them and just walk back and forth or something. Or just Shadow if you're lazy. Anyway. And the other thing is Munidile, and that's the one place where, like, Blowpipe is probably worse than Bofa on the big one, but it's fine, I think. Especially because, like, at Vanguards, like, Shadow is really, really nice, and then Blowpipe works fine. Actually, I think it's Fang, rather. The Ranger is the one that you want to not Shadow. So, yeah, overall, I would say, like, the whole Shadow Misori Pipe DHCB setup works very nicely, and I'm very fortunate, I guess, to spoon this, although it's pretty likely that you would have maybe 1 or 2 out of 3 anyway by the time you get Shadow. But yeah, I mean, this is just amazing. If you, like, were following me on Twitter, you're probably like, okay, 1 out of... So, like, the order I got it was I got the Ward, then I got the top, then I got Fang, then Mask. It might have been the other way around. I think I got Mask, then Fang. Then I got Bottoms, and I was like, wow, full Misori, no duplicates. Amazing. And then I got the Light Bearer just yesterday with the pet. So I got the Pet Bearer. That was pretty nice. Actually, I didn't even know that you could get... I didn't realize that this is like top. You can apparently get the pet on any raid, not just purple raids. I thought it was like Cox, where you sort of have to... you have to get the purple to get the pet. Right, so, yeah, pretty good. So, right. So, the next plan is, again, to get the Shadow. I think it'll pretty much opens up everything you can do. It's pretty good for God Wars, some of my favorite content in the game. It's amazing for solo chambers. Recently it was discovered that it's also pretty good at Verzik and Tob, I think for one phase, I want to say. So that's hilarious. Well, especially for people who don't own Sight. As far as I know, it's like pretty legit. I don't really know too much about Top, so don't quote me on that. But it is a very, very good item, and it's obviously very good for a bunch of other things like Sire, Folsani's Nightmare. There's a couple others. Kraken and Thermi, obviously, but who does those bosses? Who indeed? Oh, who indeed? Right? Where is that? Yeah, I finished this out recently while doing Slayer. I was like, alright, just send some Kraken with Expeditious Bracelet swaps, why not? So I was like nearing the drop rate for the 11 Ticles. I'll get this eventually. It's kind of irrelevant now. Like, before Shadow existed, and if you were tridenting, it's like cool fashion. It's like nice quality of life to have 20k charges, but with Shadow, doesn't really matter. I'll still do it, because like at Zulrah, you still bring Trident with Shadow to fill ticks and stuff, so, fashion for the YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying? Right. Sorry, I'm super off track. Right. So I said I wanted to get the Shadow, but there's something first. And that something is something I'm going to work on in the next couple of weeks, which is the Void Waker, the equivalent of the RS2 Karasi sword. So I haven't... you might recall that I did Callisto for my first Dragon Pickaxe years ago. think it's like 2019, so almost 4 years ago. And this was OG Callisto before any of this RDO business came into the picture. And I did some Vetenatus, one for the diary, oh my. And Vedion, I did like 3. I think I did 1 for the diary, and then I was originally going to do Vedion for my Dragon Pickaxe, because I was like, oh, you gotta roll a Ring of the Gods. But then old Vedion was horrible, like you just get PK'd all the time. So I was like, oh hey, Sorak is a really cool guy. He hard carried me through learning Inferno and Melee Bandos like 3 years ago. Really cool guy. Right. So I haven't done any of this. So my goal is to get Voidwaker. It'll probably take 2 weeks, I think. Hopefully, if I go really dry, it might take like 2 months. But I have a week off from work soon. I needed to use up vacation. So I was like, probably chill, do some reading, go for Voidwaker during the day, because I'll be able to play when I'm usually working, and everybody's working on East Coast hours. So that'll be pretty nice. Right. Yeah, so I'll get the Voidwaker, which, by the way, I've watched videos on, like, money 400s at ToA, and it's very cracked. I think it's especially good at Kefri, and that might sound weird to you, but you save quite a bit of time by, like, on that P2, because you don't let things heal. You can prioritize swarms and just keep Voidwakering to ensure that the mage teleports, which keeps buying you time. It's a really cool strategy, and I think like Wizzy Hat G, I watched a video from him, and Reynolds Rap, and a bunch of other people, and I was like, wow, okay, this is so much better than when I was fanging, and actually even worse than that when I was doing base Karis Partisan. That was garbage grind, honestly. I think that's one other problem that ToA suffers from compared to Chambers, which is this lack of smooth gear progression. Like, the gear that you use from outside of ToA, unless you're at the top end of using, like, Twisted Bow, Rapier, and stuff, it is really, really, like, kind of miserable. Like, the 350s that I was doing with the, less than par gear. I mean, any main will just say, like, hey, I mean, you're using the garbage gear, what do you expect? And that's fair, it's balanced around mains who can just buy things. So, yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's all over now. I did it all solo. I didn't do any team raids. I don't really like team content, so it was definitely challenging. I think it would have been easier to just do it in teams, but yeah, that's how it is. Right, so I'll get the Voidwaker, then I'll go for Shadow. Besides Kefri, it's also excellent for the core itself. You can just use it instead of Whip. Right now, as you can see, I just take Whip, so I'll just replace this with the Voidwaker. Don't lose any slots. It also doubles up as a spec weapon. And now that I have Lightbearer, I sneak in Death Charge using the Trident, so it's pretty nice. The way you do it is basically like after the Baba puzzle, while you're running over to pick up your 3 prayer potions, your 3 prayer potions, you just uncharge the Trident, put it all back besides 10 charges, put the 10 scales inside the blowpipe, drop the Chaos runes, put the fire runes in the pouch, and then pick up, it's very complicated. It sounds more complicated than it is. If I showed it to you, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. You lose like maybe 7 or 8 seconds doing this, but I mean, I think you win that time back, and the Death Charge is excellent for Akka, the Shadows. It's also really nice at Kefri if you missed BGS. I really like it. It's also good for Warden cores, obviously, because you get more, you're at 100 at P3, for example, with Lightbearer. I think I always end up at like 50 or 60 without Lightbearer, though. Cool. Right, so I'll get the Voidwaker, get the Shadow, and then I think after that, I'll finally go back and do my God Wars completion, GSSFS. I think, I'm on a Zami task right now? Yeah, Zami task. I'll probably record one of these and put them on YouTube eventually. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I was doing like 70 to 90 kill trips at some point, and they were fun. I was recording a bunch of them, and I just couldn't find one that I was really happy with. Usually I would like mess up something in the middle and then have to like dip into my sand view, and that's fine. That's like reflective of my average abilities, but I think like it is nice to have sort of this like one really nice example of like a 3-hour trip with no mistakes, so that people are like, oh, okay, this is how it's done. So we'll get that done at some point. And I think with Shadow it's amazing, especially because my on-task Shadow setup would be very good. I'm just missing one item for full best in slot, right? If I had Ancestral Bottoms, it would be best in slot for on task. So my DPS would it's not too far behind. I mean, it is 6% worse because it gets scaled by 3, but it's better than missing this and this, I guess. Yeah, overall, I would say on task, I'm not too far away. Off task, I am. It's like you're missing 12%. So, yeah, in Chambers, it would suck. In ToA, it would suck. But there is the new Virtus armor from, well, originally from Next in RS2, but now it's from Desert Treasure 2 bosses like Dorvis and all that. I haven't even done the quest. I haven't touched either of these yet. I was just in ToA. I was full focusing that. I didn't care about. So I lost my music cape, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, I really lost it. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, so I'll have to get that back at some point. I'll probably do that after I get the Voidwaker. Anyway, right. So next goals. Voidwaker, straight shot to Shadow, take a break, and then start abusing the Shadow, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. As for the bank itself, there's nothing really exciting going on here. Oh, I guess I can talk about 20 mils. Right, so as I said, I'm like just gonna go finish cooking out right now. I have like 6k grapes. That's like what, 1.2 mil XP. Oh, I'm a little bit short. Okay, I mean I can finish that really fast. I can just like buy like, I don't know, like 400 Karambwans or something and just get it done quickly. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Karambwans, I think when I maxed, I had bought like 42,000 of them, right? So I've really come down on these, and I don't really know where I used them. I think I used a bunch at Lizardman Shamans, at Basilisk Knights, and for like pre-potting, I guess. Oh, I used a lot for like melee Zami, melee Bandos, Cerberus, I guess. So yeah, maybe over time I used 13,000. Most of these are just gonna go to Corp if I ever do that. So. As for ToA itself, ToA gives you these, so that's pretty nice. I just didn't have to do any like drift net or anything, so it's just like, yeah, you never have to really fish your own food anymore. It's pretty nice. Yes, I forgot about this. Yeah, I succumbed and did like however many hours this is. I think 125. Yeah, something like that. 125 hours of Amethyst to get the dart. I have like a lifetime supply now, so I'll be good. These are from ToA. I think you might recall that I had 3k before from Vorkap and like 5 years of Dragon Implings, so I used all of those in Inferno, finished the Inferno off, and then I restocked with ToA, so it's pretty nice. These I used at Kriara. These are like leftover from when I got 99 ranged years and years ago, but I caught only black Chinchampas mostly. I used up the reds as much as I could, and then when I was down to like, I finished a trip and I had like 100 left, and I was like, nah, these are like not fun to use, so I went and just caught black chins for the next trip. Oh hey, Pogbeast, this is Jack. He's also a very cool guy. He has a lot of really cool YouTube videos, so shout out to him. I learned a lot from his ToA videos too, actually. He's a very talented gamer. Cool. A lot of people online today, wow. Right, so that leaves us with, is there anything else from ToA that I wanted to talk about? Oh, the seeds. Oh yeah, well, ToA just restocks your seeds for you, so here we go. We have like there's like another 5,000 Toad Flax that I'm basically back to like 10k Toad Flax again. It's like I have to get rid of these at some point, do birdhouse runs. It's so frustrating. I really don't like birdhouse runs. Oh yeah, 2200 Zami wines. Like, I don't even know where these are from. They can't all be from Krill Suzerath, because you don't get that many. I usually end every trip with like 150, and trips are like 90 kills, right? So maybe I got a couple hundred from them. Serb gave some, I guess. I don't really know where I got the rest. I don't do top, so yeah, no idea. But yeah, that'll be pretty nice for restocking things. I can go through this quickly too. Yeah, I think at one point I was at 10k brews. I'm at 8k now. It's like really not a big deal to have only 8k brews. Like, you'll be fine. Still, my Peapot stack definitely took a big hit, I think, from ToA, from Slayer, like Zami, a bunch of, because Zami, what I would do is, like, unlike Bandos, you can't, you don't get enough healing, unless you flick minions, which is fine. I do flick minions, but the consequence is, you do have to use more prayer. So what I do is I usually take in 6 restore, 6 prayer potions, and that works nicely. Then you can sustain forever, and your trip is limited by divines. Whereas at Bandos, you can just one tick flick the minions, tank all the off prayer hits, and it's like totally fine because you can just heal up completely with Bones to Peaches and the food drops. So it's like super nice that you can just basically limit. I only bring in 6 prayer potions per Bandos, and it's totally fine. Overall, yeah, pretty. I haven't really like cared about my potion stack in years. I just sort of do whatever. I have noticed that this number has dropped substantially. I think I was at 3,000 at one point, and now I'm at like 2,000. So I am dropping there. Even these, I mean, there's a ton of pre-pots though, so I think it's fine, right? And we have tons and tons of stuff here, so I'll be fine. Cool, yeah, so overall, ToA, pretty cool in terms of resource drops. You do get a lot of stuff here. You get tons and tons of gems. So I'm set there. I guess you get some ores, so that's nice too. What else do you get? Let me check my loot tracker. Soul runes. Yeah, I guess you do. Didn't really notice. I haven't really bought soul runes as such in, well, years. So I don't really know. I guess like Chambers and ToA just give you these, and unless you have a shadow, you're never going to use them. So pretty cool. Oh yeah, you get this too. Yeah, I had one, and then unfortunately you have to drop them if you want to get another. So I just dropped one to get a backup just in case. But I don't think I can really get any more unless I like do some weird thing like put it in Death's Coffer or something. Who cares? Overall. Yep, ToA arc went very well. Very happy with the results. I will probably post again with Ramble 5 in a couple of weeks, depending on how the Voidwaker grind goes. And I will probably be extremely tilted, so I'll take like a 2-day break before I really like talk about how that goes. But I'm going to start with Artio, the bear, the Callisto equivalent, and then I'll probably do Venenatus and Vedion for the other two, just because those are fine, unlike Callisto. And then, yeah, I mean, my goal is only these gem pieces. I really don't care about Revenant weapons or these rings. I have the best ring. Well, that's an opinion. It depends on what content you do. If you do a lot of Corp, then I think this is the best ring. If you do a lot of Inferno speed running, then clearly this is the best ring. You could argue that this is also good for Slayer. I actually think that that's not true. This is the best ring for Slayer because you can do like some fun stuff with like Chally if you have this. Or like even if you have Door, the Din's Bulwark, you can make use of this. So I think it's just a better ring for Slayer. For Barrage Slayer, sorry. For Melee Slayer, this is better, obviously. Right. So yeah, I think those are my plans, and then 20 mils I'll probably get to at some point. I'm 2 mil off for mining now, pretty much there for fletching, pretty much there for thieving, just like in the last video. At some point I'm going to have to commit to the harder ones like Agility and Runecraft. Hunter, I'll get it up over time. Just by catching chins for Kriara, this has gone up quite a bit. I'm not going to catch any more. I am going to do Shadow. As much as I am like a big fan of Chinchampas, the Shadow method is just better in all senses. Like, it's better DPS even if chins were 0 times, so there's no reason to not do that method. And moreover, I'll have to do a ton of birdhouse runs to convert these 10k brews again, or 10k toad flags again, so it'll get to 20k over time. This I'll bank from Chambers of Zarek, so oh, I guess I didn't talk about these milestones. Yeah, I recently reached 50 mil ranged. As somebody who doesn't really PvM in any serious capacity, this was pretty cool. Gonna get there in hit points soon. Pretty much 40 mil magic. Approaching 20 mils in these. We'll get them over time, probably. Defense really only comes from long range Trident and Barrage Slayer. Strength is like every melee experience, and then attack comes from like controlled lance only, so over time it'll happen, but yeah, eventually you'll get 20 mil. Cool, yeah, so I will see you all in a few weeks with hopefully a completed Voidwaker. As you may know, I really do prefer quality over quantity, which means that I won't post the video if I don't have anything interesting. I'm not a YouTuber, I work full-time, so I don't really need views or anything. So yeah, let's see how that goes, and I guess in the next video you will also see 20 mil cooking. See you then. Thanks.